Hi guys, hope everyone's doing well. This is going to be a long video, but there's a lot of information in it and some cool distilling stuff. Sorry I'm a mess. I really don't care. I'm distilling, so what difference does it make? Let's see. We're gonna distill a rice mash, and we're gonna go all through the that process, and then I'm cutting back and forth about making a starter for a rum that I'm going to use some of the back set out of this to put on the rum, and then I'm going to do the rum recipe. I don't know if it's a recipe, it's just stuff that I did a lot of researching online and looking at different recipes, and I put my own together, and I'll go through it with you, and put it together, and we'll see how it turns out in a few weeks. So enjoy the video, and thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you at the very end. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Showing you my little gauges, temperature gauges on the buckets, or fermenters, right? The big buckets, right? 20-gallon buckets. Let's see. I'm going to show you this is a rice wine. So I just mashed some rice with powdered enzymes in this one, and it's fermented down to 0.0 or 0.990, so I would say it's done fermenting. So let's get this siphon started and get it in the still. Okay, we got the hose going. We're siphoning the washout, and that's going to be a while. I got about 11 or 12 gallons of that to siphon out into the pot, and then we'll be back. Okay, we got her all siphoned out, and that last little bit that I always got to get out of there. I like doing grain on fermentation, so you got to strain it through a cheesecloth. You don't want all that stuff in your pot if you use an electric element, or even if you use fire. That's not a good idea unless you got one of those stirrers that keep your mash moving while you distill it or your wash. But I don't have one of those. Don't really need one. This works. Just takes a little time. So I got to kind of mess with it to keep it running and drain through the cheesecloth. But no hurries. I'm not going to cook till tomorrow. It won't look like it to y'all, but when it's running, it will be tomorrow. Also, I'm going to use the back set out of this. Another term for back set is dunder, which is used in rum. And I got a starter going here, so I just took some distilled water and threw some molasses in it, and I will put it on the stir plate and let it go for 24 hours. Okay, there's the molasses stirring up, and here's the yeast. I'm just using Flashman's bread yeast. I'm going to make 12 gallons. So I'm going to put in 3 packets, which is over pitching for sure, but it doesn't hurt to over pitch at all. And rum is notorious for fermentation sticking, not fermenting outright, and then it sticks in the middle and you have a hard time getting it started again. So I'm going to over pitch a little. And because if you think about how many, there's what, millions or billions of yeast cells in these, and how much they're going to make when they go into something, so you can't really over pitch it. Let's see, I think I'll also put in, this is unrefined sugar. I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of yellowish. It's in just a regular sugar container, but that's just because they come in little plastic bags and it's easier to keep track of it. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of sugar. Well, I kind of wanted to show you why I switched up to 20-gallon fermenters. That was two 7-gallon fermenters, I'm sorry, but when I put I couldn't even put as much grain as I really wanted to put in there. It was close, but not quite. And I could only get about 10 gallons of wash out of it each time, so I suppose I could have went with doing like a steep the grains, pull the grains out, but I don't like doing that. I like doing a grain in, so I just got bigger fermenters. And this is why this is why I like this big old dolly. See, not a whole lot of effort. And now Anna is nice and all where she belongs. Is able to roll right over there. Just had to move a few buckets out of the way. So far my little distillery, the plans I've done to make things a little easier are working. And that's going to be it for tonight. And then tomorrow I'll show you why I put the column together, build that, and when we plug her in and start running her. This is about an hour into stirring with the yeast starter. And if you're wondering, the video is jumping back and forth between the starter and loading up Anna to get ready to do some distilling. I'm going to use the back set out of that. I can't remember if I said this or not. I'm going to use the back set out of that to make some rum. And so this is going to be in the process. So while I'm making the distilling, I'll get the wash pretty much ready, get the molasses all dissolved, and then I'll dump in the dunder or back set, and then we'll add a little water to cool it off, and then we'll add some lees. And while we're doing that, I will give you a neat little history about rum, which I think is pretty cool. I think most people think it's kind of neat as well. And so I'll catch you when I get back. See you sometime tomorrow. Hey guys, good morning. Let's get started building the column. So my first piece, see I have the rubber, the TFP gasket in there, and I like putting some wound up copper wire in the vapor path just to start off with. It was number 11 bare copper wire that I ordered just for this purpose. I had to order 2 little spools of it. Got to kind of put it down far enough that it doesn't drop in, and it still it allows the first bubbler plate to go on there. Let's see, here's a little skinny gasket, not as wide a gasket. Then there's the first bubbler plate. Then here's the first flute. Okay, now that's how it's gonna look, so let me cut away for a minute and finish building it. Okay, there is some of it built. And that's how it looks. Now I'll go back to building a little. I always kind of struggle trying to put these little pieces together, or smaller diameter pipe with the transitions, so I like to put it all together sitting on the ground or laying on the table or whatever. Seems like to me I have better luck doing that. Oh, there's Ann and Nicole. She's all put together, looking all sexy. Here's the mad person's plumbing. Seems like I'd make the hose fit different each time I do it. I try to do it in such a way that it doesn't put stress on the column, and so far that's been the best setup yet. But I could make the hoses different sizes, but I don't know. For different configurations, how I set the still up, whether I use a solid column that's packed, or using the bubble plates and flutes, or using pot still, I need different size hoses. So that works for what I need. I don't have to have a bunch of hoses laying around. I soak them in the bathtub in hot water. That makes them real pliable when I put them together. Now all I got left to do is I gotta turn her on and dig the ice jugs out of the deep freezer and put them in the cooler and get that all filled up, and we will be making some rice whiskey. Let's go back to the starter for just a minute. It is stirring away. It foamed up really nice last night. And now you want to leave your foil cap just loose enough so stuff doesn't get inside, dust and stuff, but it allows the gas to get out easily. Gas exchange, oxygen for CO2. And you don't have to have a stir plate. You could totally just do this in like a half-gallon mason jar, or just the beaker by itself, or the flask, either one. You need about a minimum of a liter size for 5 gallons or more. You could use a bigger one for more, but I don't have a bigger one. I just use a liter. Let's see. If you do, you should sterilize it. I mean, I sanitize this one, but by all rights you should sterilize it. If it's Pyrex, you could put it in the oven, or a mason jar. You can put it in the oven at 250 degrees for an hour, including your tin foil, and then you're 100% sterile. That's really going above and beyond, but the whole point is you want really good and happy yeast. And I just used Star Sands to sanitize everything, which is kind of lazy, but at the same time I'm making rum, so as soon as it's done fermenting, I'm going to distill it. What's the advantages of going through the extra steps would be every little bit of stress and off stuff that you would taste in a wine could very easily be fusel oils, which we don't want. I mean, sometimes some of the fusel oils taste good, but for the most part, no. And that's what we're doing when we're distilling, is we're making either for brandy it would be fruit, for rum it's molasses or cane sugar, raw cane sugar, or for sour mash, and then we ferment those, and then we distill and separate the alcohols. And they do come out together, and depending on your heat, you could end up with tails, which are piece oils, and end up in the middle of your run if you run it too hot. So that's just kind of my take on things. And then if you do the math, you can figure up even how many you made. Like I think per milliliter of water, Flashman's yeast has, I want to say 4 million yeast in it, and that are like right at the time you pitch it, that live through the dehydration and rehydration process. And so you would take a gravity reading before you put your starter on, before you pitch the yeast, and then you would take a gravity reading before you pitched it. And there's a formula. I saw it on an article I read by White Labs. I'm sure you could find, if you looked around and wanted to go through all that, there's a formula that you can use that tells you how many yeast cells that you made just in the day or 2 days that you did your starter. So then it's like I could have put 4 million cells per milliliter, but now I'm putting 8 or something like that. So you doubled your volume of yeast. So you got a nice big yeast starter. And you don't have to have a stir plate either. You can just totally put it in a flask or whatever and just swish it around whenever you think about it. If you're like me and you got something like that sitting on the counter, it's impossible to walk by and not play with it. So that works also. And with that, I am going to get back to Anna. And I hope this isn't too confusing. I guess I'll see when I put together all the jumping back and forth. Okay, we're starting to get some 4 shots. As you can see, I'm set for 145, and the PID is doing its thing, and it's doing that. I'm just about ready to bump it up. That is methanol, point blank, no question about it. As you can see, it's about done running out, and let's see, there's 100 mils, so I probably have 20 mils in there. That's definitely coming out at a lower temperature than what ethanol comes out at. And by doing it this way as well, make sure I turned off the reflux. Whoops, kind of messed up there. I've been refluxing a little. I didn't want to, but it wasn't much. And anyway, see, now I turned it off. We're getting more out of it. So I have to let that run a little longer. Kind of messed that up. But I'll run that up to 50 mils, and at the same time, see, my column is nice and hot up here. Up there it's saying 160. Where's that? 150? 159, something like that. And then there's the thermocoupler. I'm reading it right at the very top of the column, just before the steam makes the turn and comes down. That's the point of no return. Here's the bubbler plates. See, we don't really have any. It's not hot enough to do any refluxing going on in there yet. Have to get a flashlight so you can see inside of those a little later. But there's a little update on how the distillation is coming. Okay, now we're going to bump it up to 160. So we press the, zoom in so you can see that. See, we got a set, alternate, up and down. So we press the blue button. See, that makes this one's the set value, and this is what's going on at the thermocoupler. So let's leave that at 5, and we press that again. We can leave that there. We're just going to bump it up to 155, and then we press, whoops, sorry, so you couldn't see. So you press that up, press that down. See, we're at 155, and then now we press set. There we go. Now that light came on. That's showing that the heating element, that the PID is engaging the heating element to get it up to the temperature that we put as the set value. Okay, we've jumped up here, jumped our temperature up a little bit, and the PID's going back and forth, dialing it in. We're almost to 100 milliliters, so we're definitely through our 4 shots, but I'll run a little longer. I turned the reflux off. I forgot to do that, or forgot to shut it off before I started. It was on just a little bit from the last time, but you can see we're no longer refluxing. Our temperature up here jumped up to 162 or 3, something like that. So that's everything's looking good. So I'm gonna jump it up to 165. And we'll let that run for about 20 minutes, half hour maybe. That will get my column nice and stacked. I want it to be as hot down here as it is up here, or vice versa, however you want to say it. Or even right there. Let's see, right there, I want it as hot as it is down here. So the only way I know how to do that is to just slowly heat it up so you have a nice nice warm column. And what we're doing with that is as I make temperature adjustments, there won't be such a lag time. So when I adjust the heating element down here at the bottom, it'll be a few seconds to come up here. But if you don't have your column stacked and everything is nice and hot, you'll end up with it could be a couple of minutes of lag time, and so then they call it chasing the heat, or chasing the flow, you know, chasing whatever. You're just chasing it up and down. You're constantly trying to play catch up. You make a temperature adjustment, and then it you think it's not enough, and then you jump it up a little more, and then all of a sudden you're too hot, and then you turn it down, and it's way better to take your time, heat your column slowly, get it all the same temperature, and you'll have a very stress-free run. And let's see, almost to 100 mils, and which is way more than what I need to collect. But after that, I'll start collecting heads, and with that, I will get back with you when I start getting into some spirits I want to keep. Let's see. Oh, I could go into this right now a little bit. If I smell this, it definitely, you can smell the acetone, kind of a fingernail polish remover, a sweetish kind of smell. It's not so. Actually, some acetone, it doesn't always smell bad, but you can tell that's sweet, and then if you taste it, then it doesn't taste good at all. So, matter of fact, let's just give it a little taste. Yeah, see, that doesn't taste good. And so as I make my cuts, I'll go into heads, and then I will go into hearts, and I'll just make small cuts as I go. And I don't really do, I kind of do it by testing it, but I do more so by just making a lot of small cuts at the beginning, and so I'll catch it at the right spot, I guess. So I kind of go off taste and smell, but I also just make lots of little cuts at the beginning. Like it may take me 6 or 7 jars to get through the very beginning of it, and each one will have a little bit in it. And then when I get to my hearts, I collect a more consistent amount, say, I don't know, half a pint at a time. And then when I get towards the middle of what I think those hearts will be, so I should get about a gallon of wine out of this, or whiskey out of this. And so when I get to about the middle of that, I'll start reducing the amount and tasting it more. And then as I get towards tails, I'll make smaller cuts again. And because some of that, there may be one of those 2 or 3 even little cuts that I've made of just a half pint or less through the tails that I like, and I think they'll taste good in the whiskey, so I'll add a little bit of it or all of it or whatever. So that's where the blending part comes in, and the kind of the art part of it, and the craft part, or however you want to say it. And okay, so let me cut this off now, and we will get back in a little while. Okay, now we're collecting heads. Let's jump it up to, oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's see, we need to jump it up to whoops, that was too far. 170. Let's see, let's go 174.3. Okay, set. Now, let's see, as you can see, that's climbing, and our temperature was like 165, and now it's starting to rise because this is pushing it up, and it's jumping out all those heads. And I've got no reflux going on whatsoever yet. I personally, I don't reflux until I get through the heads. It's just, there's lots of ways that you can do or not do things, and whether you like it, this is my preference on how to do it. I find I get a better result in it, and I can get all the heads out. So I'll run this jar till about halfway, then I'll start making my little cuts, and by then I should be through the heads, and then I'll turn the reflux on for quite a while, about 30 minutes. I like to do that. Just a solid reflux, nothing's coming out. I'm getting lots of higher proof alcohol, methanol or ethanol built up in there, and then I'll turn the reflux down and start collecting, and then I'll have a good clean spirit the rest of the way through the run. Okay, we are just getting through the heads. Nice good flavored whiskey. I'm going to switch that out. Most of my runs for this size of pot, I generally get about a pint of heads. That's pretty close. This was like 4 different jars. I combined them all to one because they're heads. I don't want them. They have they definitely have acetone, and tastes kind of like hairspray. Not very good at all, but we're past that now. So, as you can see, our thermometer is, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. We are like 173, and that's what we got it set at. Let's zoom out. Okay, now we need time to, we gotta do some refluxing. So we're gonna dump this valve right here. This is the one going to the defegulator. And that's going to shoot the temperature way down. See, now we've dropped below 170. We was at 173. Our set value. So what's happening is the PID is telling the heating element to make it to 173, but up here up top, because we're putting cold water and catching those vapors in this defegulator, it's not allowing anything to pass that, so the temperature's dropping up here. And what that happens now is, see, it's starting to reflux. This is nice and cool now, and nothing's getting past these anymore. See, there's some residual dripping coming out, but that'll stop pretty quickly. Let's see if I can zoom in any closer. There we go. Now, it won't be long, and these plates will start bubbling. You can see the condensed alcohol running down the glass, and that has the fusels and conagers and all the other things that add the flavor to the whiskey, both good and bad. And it's building up on the plates, which is being heated by the, I'm kind of seeing that one. I meant to grab a flashlight to show y'all. Which is being heated by this vapor below. And it won't be long, and we will have I was hoping it'd happen fairly quicker than this, but it does not look like it's going to. So I'll come back in a minute or two when this comes back on, instead of making you sit here and wait. Okay, now we are, see, that's a little distillation going on right there, as well as, let's see if I can do this. Nope, that didn't work. There, now you can kind of see in that one, that is a little distillation going on right there. And there we go. There's a little distillation going on right there. And another. And another. And there you can see the, put a light on that, does that make it better? Oh yeah. Now you can see all the reflux coming down, running down the sides of the glass, dripping down the middle. So we got a nice heavy reflux going. Our temperature is dropping steadily. Yep, 152. It'll probably get down to 140 something by the time I turn it back on. And we're not producing any alcohol. It's all stuck here in the column in the pot, and it's just dropping down. And each process, each little distillation going on here is separating the less volatile alcohol, so we get a more pure spirit, cleaner spirit coming up out of the pipe eventually, once I slow the reflux down and keep it at a steady rate. So the trick is to build up a reserve of refluxed alcohol at the top of your still and in your column, and then when you start slowly edging back on the amount of reflux you're doing in your defeg, that I'm trying to think how I could say it so you can understand. that that allows it, that'll start getting me out some 190. And so as I go through what I kind of have on top, it's still refluxing what's underneath that's still in the pot that hasn't came up yet. And so I keep having a backlog of higher proof alcohol, of a cleaner spirit coming through the condenser up here. And I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I can explain it so you can understand, but that's how it works, and that's what I do, and that's the way I understand it. I'm kind of self-taught, so maybe I'm not explaining it in the best technical terms. So with that, I will step away again for a minute, or set y'all down for a minute, and I'll come back when I have enough to make a proof, do a proofreading, and show you that my theories are sound. And we'll have a little taste of what's coming out of there, and then I guess that's it for now. So catch y'all in a while. That was a little slow-mo still pouring for people who enjoy that. You can throw that in your spank bank and enjoy. Okay, we've got a good heavy reflux going, but not enough to flood our plates. Our temperature's way down. It's at 91 degrees. So let's come over here and shut our reflex off. And it usually runs somewhere in there. And while we're doing that, we'll check out the temperature, and we'll start making a flow here before too long. And so what I'll do is, as the temperature climbs, I'll judge it from now on out, not so much by the temperatures, what's going on, but what's coming out, what I collect. I want a certain flow, which will be a kind of a drip, 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 little stream, drip, 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 little stream. So I'll have to adjust my PID until I get that exactly what I want. So you got to kind of combine the two, and the only way that I know to do that is from experience. You just have to judge it for yourself and see what you think is the best. Everyone's a little different. Everyone's method might be a little different in how they get there, but it's all kind of the same result. So, as we can see, our temperature is starting to climb slowly now. And once it starts climbing, it won't take too long for it to get back up. So, let me cut off for a minute, not leave you all bored while we watch the thermometer. Okay, got everything all running just the way I like it right now. See there, we got a little stream, and then it's going to go to the drips, and here in a few seconds it'll go back to a stream, and it'll taper off to a drip. That's just exactly what I'm looking for. And see, I made another cut, and then I'll make a few more small cuts, and won't be long, we'll be into hearts, and I'll start collecting enough amounts that I can do a proofing test. So I'll see you at that time. Hi guys, how you doing? Looks like we're sitting at about 192. Just wanted to show you that. and I am going to make this video end here and do a two-parter because this one's getting really long, and it's been a long day. I'm getting spacey. When I get back to it, later on this evening, I'll do the making the rum, and we'll talk about that and all that cool stuff, and I'll show you how much I got out of this, and that's about it. So I hope you've enjoyed the video so far, and lots of love. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bye.